to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments, there will be anything, it'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman?
Hold on to your seats, because the drama swirling around Tiffany Henyard has just hit a boiling point. Insiders are saying that an arrest warrant for the controversial mayor could drop any day now. Yes, you heard that right. Tiffany Henyard, self-proclaimed super mayor of Dolton, Illinois, is reportedly just days away from facing some serious legal trouble. If you thought things couldn't get any crazier for the so-called Dolton dictator, buckle up, because this could be the beginning of the end for her and her entire inner circle.
Fox 32 has investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing thousands of dollars in overtime.
Now, let's talk about what we know, or at least what the rumors are saying. According to multiple sources, who are absolutely buzzing right now, the FBI has been quietly building its case against Henyard and her team for quite some time. Word on the street is that they've been gathering evidence behind the scenes, just waiting for the perfect moment to swoop in and bring her down. And guess what? That moment might be now. So what exactly is Henyard facing? Oh, where to even begin? Henyard, who's been at the center of controversy for months, if not years, has been accused of a laundry list of crimes. We're talking about misuse of taxpayer money, extravagant spending, first-class travel, outrageous parties, and much, much more. The FBI is said to be investigating everything from her handling of village finances to her spending habits, with allegations that she's been treating taxpayer money like her personal piggy bank. And if the rumors are true, Henyard could be facing some serious jail time.
Debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
But it's not just Henyard who's in hot water. Her entire entourage is reportedly about to go down with her. The FBI has been following every move, waiting for just the right moment to pounce. And from what we're hearing, it sounds like they're planning to make a big splash by arresting Henyard and several of her closest allies all at once. Talk about a plot twist. Let's back up a bit, though. Tiffany Henyard's troubles didn't start yesterday. She's been walking a tightrope for years, and it's all starting to come crashing down. It wasn't too long ago that she threw an extravagant $85,000 party that had everyone in the town talking, flying in R&B singer Cake Wyatt and rapper Jay Holiday for a performance that barely anyone showed up to. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing that got her on the FBI's radar.
Coming in, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said, just some accountability.
And this wasn't some minor backyard barbecue. Henyard's team spent tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars for a mini concert that people are calling a total flop. Former Dolton trustee Valeria Stubbs, who was there to witness the fiasco, didn't hold back. That was a flop, she said bluntly. And she's not the only one who's outraged.
I think you should pay everybody. Is it the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You just got it.
Residents have been up in arms, furious that their hard-earned money is being thrown around like confetti. Lansing resident Jennifer Roberts said it best. I was flabbergasted. I was pissed off. That's my money. That's the people's money. And she's not wrong. Townspeople are seeing their taxpayer dollars disappear into thin air while their village plunges into deeper debt. Speaking of debt, things have only gotten worse for Henyard. Trustees have been ringing the alarm bells about the town's financial situation. And according to a report by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, the village's general fund balance was more than $5 million in 2022. Fast forward to 2024, and that same fund has dropped to a deficit of over $3 million. So where did all that money go?
Hey guys, this is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor and people's supervisor.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, or should we say the missing million-dollar question. It's not just the parties and the travel that are raising eyebrows. Henyard's handling of village employees and contracts has sparked even more controversy. Take Keith Freeman, for example, the village administrator and one of Henyard's top allies who has been tied to all sorts of shady dealings. Freeman, who was charged with bankruptcy fraud earlier this year, has reportedly been working hand-in-hand with Henyard to cover up her financial misdeeds.
Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
But here's where it gets interesting. Freeman has allegedly flipped. Sources are saying that Freeman is cooperating with the FBI, feeding them information in hopes of getting a lighter sentence. Could this be the final nail in the coffin for Henyard? As if that weren't enough, Henyard's deputy police chief, Louis Lacey, is also in hot water. Lacey, who has been another loyal ally of Henyard, was recently indicted on charges of bankruptcy fraud. And get this, he's accused of collecting more than $200,000 in overtime that he wasn't even eligible for. If that does not scream corruption, we do not know what does. Lacey's indictment is just one more piece of the puzzle in this tangled web of deceit and greed that Henyard and her team have spun. So let's take a step back and think about what could be next for Tiffany Henyard. With the FBI circling and her allies turning on her one by one, things aren't looking good. Legal experts are already speculating about the charges she could face. And it's not a pretty picture.
One way that the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing here.
With allegations of fraud, misuse of public funds, and corruption all hanging over her head, Henyard could be looking at some serious jail time if convicted. Depending on the charges, she could be facing anywhere from a few years to over a decade behind bars. And with the weight of a federal investigation pressing down on her, it's hard to imagine a scenario where she walks away unscathed. And let's not forget the people of Dolton. They're watching all of this unfold with a mix of anger, frustration, and disbelief. How did things get this bad? How did things get this bad? How did someone like Henyard even make it into office? Well, if you ask some of the town's residents, they've been asking that same question for years.
Very appreciative to receive the information today. We have the best mayor ever. I've been here since 19.
In fact, one comment left on a YouTube video discussing the situation pretty much sums up what a lot of people are thinking. When someone has a criminal conviction of any kind, they should never, ever be allowed to run for public office. It's just nuts to me. And honestly, can you blame them? Another commenter chimed in with this gem. Do they not do background checks? That town is run like a circus? Ouch. But again, they're not wrong. It's hard to understand how someone with such a checkered past could rise to a position of power without raising any red flags. And now the entire village is paying the price for it. Henyard, for her part, doesn't seem to be backing down. Despite everything that's been happening, she's still out here acting like nothing's wrong.
Legal appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
Just recently, she was spotted at yet another village event, smiling for the cameras and talking about how much she's done for the community. In one of her infamous social media posts, she even referred to herself in the third person, saying, "They don't show you this side of Tiffany Henyard, the productivity." But productivity isn't exactly the word most people would use to describe her time in office. The problem is, Henyard's attempts to downplay the situation aren't fooling anyone. People see through the charade, and they're getting more and more fed up by the day. Even some of her closest allies have started to turn against her. One of the most notable defections came from Township trustee Carmen Carlisle, who was once a staunch supporter of Henyard. In a recent meeting, Carlisle couldn't hold back her frustration any longer. "I trusted this administration," she said, "but the moment I didn't trust the process, I started asking questions." Carlisle's about-face is a sign that Henyard's grip on power is slipping. It's not just the residents who are fed up, it's the people who once worked alongside her. And with rumors swirling that more of her allies could soon be arrested, it's becoming increasingly clear that Henyard is running out of options.
We get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure the right thing is being done.
Of course, it's not just her allies who are abandoning ship. The village trustees have been fighting tooth and nail to rein in Henyard's spending and bring some accountability to the local government. They've instituted layoffs, cut budgets, and are even working on crafting their own financial plan to get the village back on track. But it's an uphill battle, especially when Henyard is still calling the shots and vetoing every effort to investigate her wrongdoing. What's even more shocking is that, according to insiders, the trustees aren't just battling Henyard in boardrooms. They're also dealing with alleged intimidation tactics from her allies within the police department. Several sources have hinted that Henyard may have leveraged her close connections with certain high-ranking officers to exert pressure on those questioning her authority. This, combined with her unchecked spending and refusal to hand over financial documents, has made it nearly impossible for the trustees to do their jobs effectively. It's as if Henyard is determined to cling to power by any means necessary, no matter how reckless her actions become. The big question now is, how long can she hold out? Can Tiffany Henyard really keep fighting against the inevitable? Because let's be real, the FBI doesn't mess around. They've got the receipts, they've got the witnesses, and they've got the receipts, they've got the witnesses, and they've got the evidence. And while Henyard may be trying to keep up appearances, it's only a matter of time before the walls start closing in.
Here, Henyard is in a situation where she feels like she's under attack, because she is.
So what happens next? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? With rumors swirling about an impending arrest, it feels like we're watching the final act of this drama play out in real time. Will Henyard finally be held accountable for her actions? Will her allies continue to turn on her in a last-ditch effort to save themselves? And what will become of the village of Dolton, which has been left in shambles by years of corruption and mismanagement? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. The next few days and weeks are going to be crucial for Tiffany Henyard, her allies, and the town of Dolton. And you can bet that everyone will be watching closely to see what happens next. So, what do you think? Is this the end of the road for Tiffany Henyard, or does she still have a few tricks up her sleeve? Will the FBI finally bring her to justice? Or will she somehow manage to slip through the cracks once again? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. You won't want to miss what's coming next.